Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Marhaban bikum ya tullab. We are now in class number 12 of our series Arabic 101, in which we teach brothers and sisters as well how to understand the Arabic language, and we've been going through this book for some time. Now, in class 11, we had a review in which you guys were tested on chapters 1 through 5. Al-yawm, right? We are sanabda'u, we will begin ad-dars as-sadis. What does as-sadis mean? Sixth lesson. افتحوا إلى هذه الصفحة. Open up to this page 33. Page 33. سأقرأ أولا. سأقرأ. What does that mean? I will read. أولا. First. I'm going to start including more and more Arabic, so you guys pay attention. سأقرأ أولا. I will read firstly. ثم. Then. تقرؤون.
Oh, you all read.
Then you will all read. All right? الدرس السادس. هذه. We're taking اسم الإشارة. تذكرون اسم الإشارة? Do you remember اسم الإشارة?
Yeah.
All right. We're taking female singular. And she just talks like that whenever it rings. اسم الإشارة for singular feminine. And what it means is that you point out for a single female object or single female person. All right? He says in the beginning, هذا ابن حامد. I read it slow like that. هذا ابن حامد. The correct way to read it is all at once. هذا ابن حامد. Right? I skipped that alif, both of them. Next, وهذه بنت ياسر. وهذه بنت ياسر. He didn't say وهذا بنت. هذا is for masculine, مفرد, single. So he said هذه. ما معنى بنت? Daughter. Yeah? It means girl or daughter. وهذه بنت ياسر. ابن حامد جالس وبنت ياسر واقفة. Ibn Hamidin jalis. Hamid's son is sitting, right? And it says وَبِنْتُ يَاسِرٍ وَاقِفَةٌ. Why did it end with a ta? It's feminine. Okay, let me write that on the board. So, that last sentence, Ismail, اقرأ بصوت عال.
Loudly.
Yeah, بصوت. صوت means voice. So I said, اقرأ, read, بصوت, with a voice, عال, loud. So, with a loud voice.
Ibn Hamidun.
Ibn Hamidin.
Hamidin. Jalisin.
Ibn Hamidin. Jalisun.
Jalisun.
Let's go over what we already know. Ibn Hamidin. Right? Hamid's son. We know it starts out Ibnu and not Ibni or Ibna. Right? Because it is what? Well, before it's mudaf, it begins with this word, and usually at the beginning of the sentence is what we call mubtada. Because remember this word, the subject of the sentence, the mubtada. What? Mubtada. Mubtada. The subject in the sentence. The subject in the sentence is marfu'. If you ever come across a mubtada in the sentence, you'll find that it's marfu', meaning it ends with a dhamma. Right? Simple as that. It's an ugly bracket. Let's fix it.
I was trying to understand what did you write there.
What's that?
I don't understand if it's something you
No, it's just there was just a terrible bracket. All right, hamidin is mudafun ilayhi.
What does mubtada mean again?
The subject of the sentence, like grammatically, and it means what the sentence begins with. And now we have jalisun. We've never seen a word in this kind of scale. We've seen jalasa, yajlisu. What does jalasa mean? Sa'urikum. Look at what I do. Sa'ajlisu. Jalasa al-mudarrisu.
Teacher sitting.
Teacher sat down. Jalasa al-mudarrisu.
Last time.
Yeah. So let's break this word down a little bit. Jalasa that's madi. You know madi? Past. Don't go drowsy on me. Stay focused. Yajlisu. Don't go on autopilot. I know it's late. Yajlisu. Past. Present. Yajlisu. He's currently sitting. All right? These are af'al. This is a fi'l. That is a fi'l. These are af'al. What does that mean?
Plural.
Yeah.
Noun.
Fi'l, singular. Af'al, plural. All right? You see how that works? Okay. What's this type of scale? We've taken scales before where we said that some verbs, they'll go on the scale of fa'ala. That's a dot. Lu. Fa'ala yaf'ilu. Jalasa yajlisu. That's what I mean by scale. So if I was to ask you, on what scale is jalasa yajlisu, right? You would tell me it's on fa'ala yaf'ilu scale. And this is what they use for morphology, because this word will transform into another word, it'll transform into another word. So now you're learning the different scales. It's called morphology, not nahu. Right? Jalasa yajlisu. If you want to say a person is doing a specific action, not in any past or present tense, right? But rather you want to say he is the one who is doing it. Similar to how we say, if somebody is walking, right? You say walk, walking. What if he's doing that action? What do you call him?
The walker.
You call him a walker. It ends with ER, right? Walker. Is that a noun or is it a verb? Walker.
No.
It's a noun. This is what's happening with jalisun. Right? It's not madi. It's not mudari'. But do you call somebody who's sitting down a sitter? You don't. Correct? So he's sitting. That's what it means. So you're saying Ibn Hamidin, meaning Hamid's son, is sitting. That's in our context. But it literally means he's a sitter. Like he's sitting down at the moment. Right? Just like we did with walk, walking, then walker. Or play, playing, player. Right? So that's the scale here when it becomes fa'ilun. Now, I'm not going to pretend like I know even English grammar at all. I know Arabic grammar well. They call this ism fa'il, right? The noun of the name of somebody doing the action. Ism fa'il. Now, I'm sure there's some English equivalent to it. It's not my specialty. I'm not even going to pretend. Fa'ilun, meaning the one who's doing the action. Now, normally you would just say it's what? The person who does the action.
Doer of the action.
What is it?
The doer of the action.
In Arabic, it's fa'il. Simply just fa'il. That's what we have here. Fa'il. Jalis. Same thing, right? Fa'ilun, jalisun. Same scale. All right? So this is not, even though he's sitting, it's not a verb. It means he's a sitter. All right? Take, for example, we said play, right? We want to say player. He's a player in a game. So we're going to say the word for playing is la'iba yal'abu. All right?
So what does it mean with when you have the yeah?
This is when we get into present tense, I can describe everything you want here. But this is making it present. لعب يلعب. جلس يجلس. Okay? Making it present tense. But how do you say a player? لاعب. Remember that scale we did earlier? فاعل. فاعل. You're just going to put a alif there. You're still going to use la. But now you got to put this alif there. لا عيب. Still the same scale. And that changes it, meaning that he's a player. So that's not a verb. He's doing that action. Like he is one who does that action. Buy, buying, buyer. That's what's happening when we make the form into fa'ilun. Right? Is somebody who's doing that action. We'll explain it a little more later, but I hope the general idea is that you guys got what it's doing. If I say ضارب, right? Just by hearing it, you don't know what it means, but you know it's on which scale? ضارب. Same scale, which means you know it's a noun. قاتل. ضارب means somebody who hits. Hitter. Qatil is a killer. All right? There's a lot of killers running loose now these days. So it's still the same scale though. Qatilun. See how that works? It's from qatala yaqtulu. Daraba yadribu. Daribun. Jalisun. So you see that's the science of morphology. And we'll eventually get into it. But for now, I think we got a decent intro into how the word begins and how it changes. So now, mubtada, mudafun ilay in our sentence. In every jumla, ismiya, a sentence that begins with a mubtada, a noun, there has to be a khabar somewhere. The predicate, right? Here it is. Khabarun. Mubtada is always marfu' with a dhamma. And guess what else is always marfu'? Khabar is always marfu', meaning ending with dhamma. And that should let you know what are the harakat on the words. Right? So that way you know to say, do I say ibnu or ibni at the beginning of a sentence? Nothing's happening to it, so leave it alone as ibnu. Right? There's no fee in front of it, so just leave it as marfu' with a dhamma. But now hamidin, you're saying Hamid's son, you know there's some mudaf and mudafun ilayh. So you know whatever is mudafun ilayhi is going to be kasratain, majroor. Right? This is mubtada, but it's also, we're going to call it mudaf also. Meaning that it's added to this word. But something being mudaf has no bearing on if it has a dhamma, fatha, or kasra. If there's something that you say mudafun, doesn't mean it's a dhamma, doesn't mean it's a kasra, doesn't mean it's a fatha, right? But it means that whatever is after is mudafun ilay, and that's going to be majroor. Let's go back. أين وقفنا? أين وقفنا? Where did we stop? From واقف. And you see this word here. وبنت أو اقرأ مظفر.
وبنت ياسر.
Not binti.
وبنت.
بنت.
وبنت ياسر.
ياسر.
وبنت ياسر واقفة.
Very good. وبنت ياسر واقفة. All right? Which means Yasir's daughter, Yasir's daughter is واقفة. عكس جالس. ما معنى عكس? Opposite. So محمد واقف, زيد جالس. All right? And we added the ta in there at the end. It's called a-ta al-marbuta, the knotted ta or the tied ta, the one that looks like at the end of a word, and it's brought in for to make something feminine. So if you describe a female, you can't say Aishatu jalisat. I'm sorry, jalisun. You can't say Aishatu jalisun. You have to say jalisatun. Makes sense? All right. طيب. You went ahead and read Ismail. Mudaffar, you read وبنت ياسين واقفة. Go ahead, Nadeem.
من هذه؟
من هذه? ما معنى من هذه?
Who is she? Who is she?
Yeah, it means who is this? Female. Not that you're actually saying female, it means feminine. So هذا and هذه means this, and it's either for a male, masculine, or feminine. That's what من هذه or من هذا. It's still who is this, but it could be masculine or feminine. So it's not necessarily who is he. That's when you'd say من هو, من هي, who is she, who is he. You say من هو, من هي. But if you say who's this, you just have to see if it's masculine or feminine. اقرأ.
هذه أخت المهندس.
أحسنت. هذه أخت المهندس. What is أخت المهندس? What's أخت?
The sister?
Sister. أخت المهندس. The muhandis, meaning engineer's sister, or the sister of the engineer. نعم. أمير اقرأ.
هي أي
نعم. أيضا.
أيضا
نعم.
مهندسة.
Good. Listen to this now. أهي أيضا مهندسة. So the هي is she, and the is the su'al. أهي is she, right? أهي أيضا. ما معنى أيضا? Also. So it depends how you use it, right? So it depends in context, but it means also. أهي أيضا. Is she also مهندسة, an engineer? And we use مهندسة لأنها, she's feminine. نعم.
لا هي
انتظر. He was asking. I was telling him go.
What's the harakat on the board? Because
فتحة. أيضا. أيضا.
so that and then the fathatain on the alif afterwards is what confuses me. Like,
Very good. I'll share a little secret, little writing secret. The reason why they don't أيضا means also, صح? أيضا. That's how it is. If you ever see the fathatain and it's on top of the word like that, it belongs to the alif. Even if it's not on top. And it's over here. Guess where it belongs to still? It still belongs to the alif. Tanween can only come at the end of the word forever and ever and ever. Tanween never comes in the middle of a word. Only it can be at the end of the word. So that's why it shouldn't really confuse you as far as is it on the dad or is it on the alif. It's tanween, I'm going to tell you this. But what haraka goes on the dad?
That's what I'm saying.
Usually, if there's a tanween, most of the time, all right? If not all of the time, from what I can recall. If there's a fathatain, whatever is before it is a fatha. Whatever is, if this ends, because it's going to be impossible if this was a kasra. Aydiyan. It's like, that's too difficult. In the Arabic language, they don't like to make their harakat difficult.
Why is it not just fathatain on the dad?
Ayduwan. Still hard. Right? Hold on. I'm not done. Let's get through all the harakas. What if it's sukoon? Aydan. We know in Arabic language they can't have two sukoons next to each other. Right? Aydan. So you're saying why don't they just put it on the dad?
Yeah.
Because the fathatain needs an alif to be a alif or a what's it called? A hamza or this ta.
It needs either.
It needs something like this, either like that or like this or an alif. So if it's a jim at the end of the word, that's how you write normally a jim, like hajjun, right? The word hajj. If it's hajjan, no, it doesn't get written like that. Alif gotta come. So this tanween has a place to stand. So you would actually say hajjan.
What does that mean?
That means hajj.
So why is it the
Why does it have an alif? The alif's just there. The alif's there for the fathatain.
I'm saying why does it have a fathatain? The word hajj.
When we get to it, we'll talk about it.
So there's only like three.
What is it?
There's only like three: alif and hamza and then ta.
Let me see if I can recall if there's any more. I believe it's just those three. I don't remember any at the moment. If you remember any from your Quran teaching, I don't remember any other at the moment.
You can put whatever you want, or
No, that if there's a fathatain, it needs to be. It only comes on one of those three, from what I can remember. Like you won't see a fathatain and then a jim at the end of the word, and it's like that on the top. If there's a fathatain, it needs to be there. It needs to be on an alif, or it needs to be on a hamza. And I think this one you find mostly in the Quran. Or it needs to come at the end of a word like this, or like that. And this is really like writing class. You guys don't need to focus too much on writing, right?
So if you put a fatha on God, will you pronounce it Aidan, right?
A fatha on which one?
No, this one, the lower one. This one. Right now we are saying Aidan.
A, one.
But now if you put a fatha above the Zod, won't it be Aidan?
No, it's right now, it's A, ba, n, right? This just makes the N sound sukoon, right? So it's almost like this. This tanween is just replacing a noon. Sakin. A. That's what it is. Right? But that looks like it's part of the word now. What's wrong with this thing? That looks like it's part of the word as opposed to this alif on there. Right? Well, now when you stop on the word, you'll just say ayla. You'll say it as alif sukoon. Ayla.
when you say it. Huh?
When you say it. If you stop on the word. Okay? No more tanween, no more alif. If more questions like that arise, keep them.
I don't know what's gonna happen.
We have to finish this one page. It's lesson 6. We haven't finished one page yet. طيب. I don't know if everyone's going to be able to read if we're going to finish. Tell me the time now.
It's been 25 minutes.
Okay, but what's our timing? 8:50? We're finishing at 9 tonight. So maybe I'll give you extra 5 more minutes. 9:05, and it'll be a 40-minute class. All right? طيب, من هذه? We took this already. هذه in the second paragraph. هذه أخت المهندس. أهي أيضا مهندسة? Then he answers, يجيب. He answers. لا هي طبيبة. ما معنى طبيب؟ طبيبة. Female doctor. Very good. سيارة من هذه؟ ما معنى هذه الجملة؟ Whose car is this? So he says, هذه سيارة. هذه, yes. He says, سيارة من هذه؟ هذه سيارة المدير. This is the mudir's car. ما هذه? Ma is used for what? I seen this on the اختبار. Some people put for ma, or they answered for men as ma, and that will make your answer wrong. So if I say to you, men هذا, right? You have to answer with a person. Men is for who? But if I tell you this light post, I say men هذا. It's a light post, right? I'm supposed to say ma هذا. What is this? So I came across somebody that did that, and I was like, I know they know this meaning, but I had to mark it wrong because it was on the page. Don't worry, he's a little smiling at me like, was it me? It wasn't you. It wasn't you either. Everyone's going to keep saying it's me until we find him, right? ما هذه at the bottom of the page. هذه مكوات. You see the picture? ما معنى مكوات? An iron. Yeah, an iron, which you use to iron clothes. Mikwatun. And if I stop, I say mikwah. Mikwah. All right? اقلبوا الصفحة. Turn the page. Liman هذه. That's new. Where did this lam come from? This lam is a harf jar. We've taken harf jar before?
Yeah.
We took min ila an ala. And now we're taking la, or I'm sorry, li, as harf jar. And it means for. For. So if I say lahu, it means for him. If I say laha, it means for her. If I say li, it means for me. So sometimes it could be li, and sometimes it could be la. They're both going to be considered harf jar. So for example, whenever there's a letter that it's best suited to have a kasra before it, like if I want to say this is for, for me, I'm going to say, I'm going to write that, li. That ya is for my, right? And this li is the harf jar li. And it means for me. Or I have. It means for me or I have. Write that down because it becomes really strict or rigid in English language. You have to say it 2 different ways, where in Arabic you don't.
How about that? The first 2 is for
This one?
Yeah.
This one is for huwa. For example, if I wanted to add, say for him, right? I need to add huwa to the word, right? But whenever you want to add huwa to a harf jar, you're just going to add the first part of the word. What's the haraka on here?
Dhamma.
There's a dhamma, right? So the only thing you're going to have to add is a hat with a dhamma. So this hat with a dhamma is more suited to have a lam with a fatha in front of it, just because it's easier to say. Try to say lihu. See how your mouth feels. Lihu. Say lahu. Which one's simpler? So they'll go by whatever is simpler to say, and that's why it's like that. Li it doesn't work. If you try to switch it around, you're going to say lay, too heavy. Right? So they said, no, it's suitable to have a kasra. Lahu. All right? So that's what this lam means. It means for whoever it is. All right? So can I put a name after li? Right? Like an actual name.
You talking about yourself, right?
Yeah, like let's say for Ismail. There's the lam. His name starts with Alif Hamza, right? Li Ismail.
It wouldn't be lahu.
I'm going to say for Ismail, not for him. I'm going to say for, like we're talking about him. Right? So this lam, I'm going to connect it to that, and it's going to be in one word. Huh? Li Ismail. Lam Alif. Li Ismail.
For Ismail.
Huh?
Is it for Ismail?
It means for Ismail. Li Muhammad. Li Nadimin. So li is just saying for him, for Muhammad, for Mustafa, for any name, right? So that's what this li or la is for.
Can you add R to that? Like Ali Ismail, like is for Ismail.
What do you mean? Ali Ismail? Oh, like you're asking a question?
Yeah.
You can. Because you're going to add the question, Hamzat al-Istifham, right? To ask a question. And you're going to say, let's use Ali Muhammadin. Ali Muhammadin. Li Muhammadin. Hada. Is this for Muhammad? So we're going over here. Is this for Muhammad?
So it's like mudaf ilayh.
No, it's
Why does that just
when it kasratain.
Yeah.
Well, do you remember harf jar?
Kasratain, yeah.
Anything after harf jar
Kasra or kasra.
is kasra or kasratain. So this you would call, this part right here is called harfu jarrin, right? The word that's affected by harful jar, what is a word or a noun called in Arabic? Call it ism. So we would call it ismun majrurun. That's how you would identify what's going on in the sentence. So if I said, where is harful jar in the sentence? You know, it's this. If I said, where is the ism al-majrur? You would say Muhammad. Let's continue. Liman hadhihi. For who is this? Hadhihi. All right? Now I'm not going to get into do you say whom or who. Some weird thing about that if it's, you know, if the sentence was mentioning the subject or if it's talking about the subject, you're going to show whom. It has a long explanation. But we're just going to say, for whom is this? Liman hadhihi. Hadhihi li Khalidin. Right? This is for Khalid. So it's pretty simple about how to use li, right? Good. الدراجة أنس هذه. ما معنى دراجة?
Stairs.
What's the picture? No, that's darajun. Yes. So the question is, الدراجة أنس هذه. Is this Anas's bicycle? Right? Is this Anas's bicycle? Even though this is the last thing mentioned. But we can put it at the beginning and I can say ahadhihi, correct? Can I say ahadhihi darajatu Anasin? The sentence would be correct. I can also say adarajatu Anasin hadhihi. It doesn't matter how you switch that hadha. It could be at the end of the word, it could be at the beginning. It's still correct.
So if the hadi is at the beginning, you will put to it. Hadi darajatu.
That's right. Ahadhihi.
It's always at the beginning, right?
Hadha?
When you're asking, is this?
Yes, if you're going to have a question, and there's more than one way to ask is. We haven't taken it, like you can say, هل هذا كتابك? And that still means, is this your book? It's similar to أهذا كتابك. So هل is there, is there. There's more than one way to say is this or are you in Arabic language. So is this Anas's bike? لا. هذه دراجة عمار. هي دراجة. What does it say? هي جديدة. هذه جديدة. Which means what?
This is new.
And why did he say جديدة and not جديد?
Female.
Because it's feminine. Daraja is feminine. So when you describe it being new, you have to use the feminine word for new. So darajatun jadidun or darajatun jadidatun. Jadidatun. It has to match. All right? وَدَرَّاجَةُ أَنَسٍ قَدِيمَةٌ.
Old.
Same thing. And yeah. And Anas's daraja, his bicycle, is old. And it's also done in the feminine scale. طيب. كم الساعة? What is the hour? What is the time?
4 minutes, less than 4 minutes.
صحيح هذا؟ نعم. كلامه صحيح. أحسنت. طيب. هذه. Look at the next sentence. هذه ساعة علي. هي جملة. I'm sorry. هي جميلة جدا. All right. ما معنى ساعة?
Hours.
It means hour or watch. Right? If you yeah, it could mean both, but it depends on the context. Yeah, like وأن الساعة قائمة. Indeed, the sa'a. They're talking about the watch will be established. No, the hour will be established. So it depends on the context. Sa'a can mean the hour, meaning the hour last day of resurrection, or it could mean the actual time. Or it could actually mean the watch itself, depending on the context. هذه ساعة علي. Ali's watch.
But this is mudaf ilayh, right? So it should be aliyin or fathatin.
It is aliyin.
Oh, here it's ali.
It's under.
No. They have a way of writing Ali. If you see in the book, you keep an eye on the shadda. If it's below the shadda, it's kasratain.
Okay.
Even though it's above the actual letter.
But
If they were going to say aliyan, guess how it would look?
above that.
No. They need to bring that alif. Right? That alif needs to be there. Huh?
It's kind of game, you know.
It's a game? I never heard that. You might, I suppose you might see people,
Getting harder, you know.
I suppose you might see somebody do this.
Yeah, I was gonna expect this one.
We still haven't
And-
taken Y.
On some words.
We still haven't taken Ali yen, right? Like the yen.
No, we haven't took why
Okay.
something will end with a fatha.
Okay.
But when you do, you're going to regret it. I'm just kidding. No, when you do, you're going to find out that
If you
what these symbols mean. It's not so bad, honestly. It's not that bad.
is the aliyan with the shadda, that's wrong. Is that
With
halal?
this one here,
Yeah.
yeah, writing, it should not be written that way. It should be like that. طيب هذه ساعة علي هي جميلة جدا. ما معنى جدا؟
Jidda is
ماذا قلت يا مصطفى؟
Very, very.
Very أحسنت يا محمد. So when you add جدا to something, it means very. You say جميل جدا. Very beautiful. كبير جدا.
Really very big.
Yeah. Can you put جدا after like a noun? Like سيارة جدا? Doesn't work.
Only after fail.
It has to come, no, not a fi'l, it has to come after a description. Like a sifa. Like beautiful, tall, small, something like some description, you know. طويل جدا, قصير جدا, قديم جدا, right? طيب. The next sentence in the middle of the page. هذه ملعقة وهذه قدر. الملعقة في القدر. So he says, هذه ملعقة, this is a spoon. وهذه قدر, right? And this is a vase or a pot. قدر is more like a pot. Okay? الملعقة في القدر. You will find,
The spoon is in the pot.
yes, the spoon is in the pot. But do you see اسم الإشارة that they have used?
Yes.
They used ملعقة because it ends with a ta. And sometimes, very rarely, you will get a word that doesn't have that ta, but it's feminine. قدر is one of them. It's right there. It says هذه ملعقة, right? And he says وهذه قدر. So very rarely, you could probably count them, how many there are. Some words, they'll be feminine, but it'll be, it won't have that ta at the end. So almost 100% of the time, or 99% of the time, if it has the ta, it's feminine. If it doesn't have the ta at the end, it's masculine. Most of the time. There's always exceptions to the rule. Very good. هذه ملعقة. This is a spoon. وهذه قدر. And this is a pot. الملعقة في القدر. The spoon is in the pot. هذه بقرة الفلاح. ما معنى فلاح?
Cow.
No, that's بقرة.
Cowboy.
Huh?
Cowboy.
No, but you see, it's inside the mudaf and mudafun ilay. So this baqara belongs to al-fallah. Who would own a fallah? A cow?
Shepherd. No.
A farmer, a rancher.
Or answer.
Farmer or rancher means fallah. All right? So, that's, huh?
This is Rancher's cow.
Rancher?
This is Rancher's cow.
Yeah, yeah. This is the rancher's cow. And if you notice, it said هذه for baqara.
Cow is
Feminine.
feminine.
All right? How do you say,
What if it's a male cow?
do you say baqarun if it's a male? Get rid of the ta? No. It's a whole different word. Thawrun.
What was that?
It's a whole different word called thawrun.
So
Yeah.
it's like a bull.
It's a bull. Thawrun. Baqarun is the plural of baqaratun.
Like tufa.
Like tufahun, the word you'll never forget probably. Actually, it's probably closer on the same scale. Baqarun, tamrun. Because the plural of tamrun, the singular of tamrun is tamratun. That's single. Tamrun is plural. Tamratun is single. Mozun is plural. Mozatun, singular.
Is that banana?
Baqarun is plural. Baqaratun is singular. See how that works? Tufahun is plural of apples, and tufahatun is singular.
So I say one apple.
Tufahatun.
In the book it is given apple.
No, it should be apples. Where?
Yeah.
At the end of the page?
At the end of the book, yeah. Or whatever the
British translation, man. What can I say? It should. That might be a spelling error. I would assume.
Give back points then.
Half a point.
Yeah.
I took off half a point for anyone that missed it, but I know we translated it as tufahun.
I just go with the book. Yeah.
No, you should have went with what the class said. That's a good. It's a good attempt, though. I mean, I'm trying to think, and I cannot think why it would be single. Tufahun. It's plural. We've always learned it as plural, and tufahatun is singular. And I see that they described it in the book as at-tufahu ladidun, and it really should have been at-tufahu ladidatun. It should have been ladidatun. The reason why is because if you have and we take this much later on, probably 5 chapters later. If you have a jam' ghayr aqil, plural, non-intellectual, it's described as singular female. But for here, let's take the last, actually, no, we're stopping on page 34 because this one needs a bit of explanation. We'll stop here. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, keep you all steadfast and give you the strength to continue. And our last and final prayer is Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen.